Alright folks, let's kick things off in 18th century France, a time of powdered wigs, lavish parties, and oh yeah, a giant man-eating wolf thing terrorizing the countryside. Picture this, the French aristocracy is busy with their opulent balls and extravagant feasts, while the common folk are just trying to get by, tending to their farms and livestock. But amidst this picturesque setting, a dark shadow looms, a creature so terrifying that it would haunt the dreams of even the bravest souls. I'm talking about the Beast of Gévaudan, a creature so ferocious, so bloodthirsty, it makes your average werewolf look like a cuddly puppy. This beast wasn't just a figment of the imagination or a tale to scare children. It was a real living nightmare that prowled the forests and fields, striking fear into the hearts of everyone who heard its name. Imagine this. You're just a humble peasant, minding your own business, maybe tending your sheep, when bam! This massive monstrous creature with huge teeth and claws bursts out of the woods. You're not thinking about the harvest or the weather anymore. Your only thought is survival. The Beast of Gévaudan was no ordinary predator. It was cunning, elusive, and seemed almost supernatural in its ability to evade capture. And it's not there for a friendly chat about the weather, it wants to eat you. The attacks were brutal and merciless, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror. The beast didn't discriminate. It attacked men, women, and children alike, often dragging its victims into the woods, never to be seen again. For 3 long years, this beast stalked the Gévaudan region of France, leaving a trail of over 100 victims in its wake. The people of Gévaudan lived in constant fear, never knowing when or where the beast would strike next. The local authorities were at a loss, and the king himself eventually took notice, sending his best hunters to deal with the menace. Mostly women and children, because of course it was. I mean, talk about adding insult to literal injury. The beast seemed to have a particular taste for the most vulnerable members of society, making its reign of terror even more horrifying. Families were torn apart, and entire communities were left in mourning. The creature was described as larger than a wolf, with a reddish coat, a foul odor, and a howl that could curdle your blood. Eyewitnesses spoke of its glowing eyes and its almost supernatural speed and strength. Some even believed it was a punishment from God or a creature of the devil himself. Basically, your worst nightmare come to life. The fear and paranoia spread like wildfire, with every rustle in the bushes or distant howl sending shivers down the spines of the villagers. The Beast of Gévaudan became a symbol of terror, a dark legend that would be passed down through generations. People were terrified. They formed hunting parties, armed themselves with whatever they could find, pitchforks, muskets, their grandma's dentures, but nothing seemed to work. The beast was always one step ahead, evading traps and ambushes with an almost eerie intelligence. The hunters would return empty-handed, their morale crushed, while the beast continued its rampage. This thing was like the Terminator of wolves. It just wouldn't die. No matter how many times it was shot, stabbed, or trapped, it always seemed to come back, more ferocious than ever. The people of Gévaudan were beginning to lose hope, wondering if they would ever be free from this relentless predator. Eventually, the situation grew so dire that King Louis XV himself took action. He sent his best marksmen, including the famous hunter Jean Chastel, to track down and kill the beast. The king's involvement brought a glimmer of hope to the beleaguered villagers, who prayed that the royal intervention would finally put an end to their nightmare. Jean Chastel, armed with a specially crafted silver bullet, ventured into the heart of the beast's territory. The legend goes that Chastel, after reciting a prayer, finally confronted the beast and shot it dead. The body of the creature was brought back to the village, and the attacks ceased, bringing a sense of relief and closure to the people of Gévaudan. The death of the Beast of Gévaudan was met with celebration and relief. The villagers could finally return to their lives without the constant fear of being attacked. The story of the beast became a part of local folklore, a chilling reminder of the terror that once stalked their land. Today, the tale of the Beast of Gévaudan lives on, attracting tourists and historians alike to the region. The story has been immortalized in books, films, and even video games, ensuring that the legend of the beast will never be forgotten. So, the next time you find yourself in the French countryside, remember the tale of the Beast of Gévaudan and the terror it brought to the people of 18th century France. Okay folks, buckle up because this next story is not for the faint of heart. We're diving into the dark and twisted tale of a woman whose name has become synonymous with horror and cruelty. We're talking about Elizabeth Bathory, a Hungarian countess from the 16th century, who earned herself the charming nickname, the Blood Countess. Born in 1560, she was a member of one of the most powerful Protestant families in Hungary, and her life was one of privilege and influence from the very beginning. And trust me, it's not because she was a big fan of Merlot. No, Elizabeth's story is far more sinister and chilling than any wine-soaked tale you might imagine. Elizabeth Bathory was born into a life of privilege and power. Her family owned vast estates and had significant political influence. She was well-educated, fluent in multiple languages, and was even known for her intelligence and wit. She had it all: wealth, a title, a face that could launch 1,000 ships. But despite her seemingly perfect life, there was a darkness lurking beneath the surface. But somewhere along the way, things took a dark, and I mean seriously messed up, turn. Elizabeth's fascination with the occult and her obsession with maintaining her youth and beauty led her down a path of unimaginable horror. We're talking Vlad the Impaler levels of messed up. Elizabeth's methods of preserving her youth were not only extreme but also incredibly brutal. See, Elizabeth was obsessed with beauty and youth. In a time when aging was seen as a sign of weakness and decline, she was determined to find a way to stay young forever. And I'm not talking about your typical, I need a good moisturizer kind of obsession. No, Elizabeth's quest for eternal youth took a much darker turn. This woman was convinced that bathing in the blood of young virgins was the key to eternal youth. She believed that the blood of these young girls would rejuvenate her skin and keep her looking youthful and beautiful. Yeah, you heard me right. Blood, baths. Elizabeth allegedly lured young girls to her castle, where they were tortured and killed so that she could bathe in their blood. Now, whether or not she actually believed this is up for debate. Some historians argue that the stories of her bloodbaths were exaggerated or even fabricated by her enemies. Some historians think she was framed by her enemies, who were eager to get their hands on her vast estates. After all, Elizabeth was a powerful woman in a male-dominated society, and her wealth and influence made her a target. But the rumors and accusations against her are so horrific, so numerous, that it's hard to ignore the possibility that she might have been, well, a little bit unhinged. Over 300 witnesses testified against her, and the evidence of her crimes was overwhelming. She was eventually arrested and imprisoned in her own castle, where she remained until her death in 1614. Elizabeth Bathory's story is a chilling reminder of the lengths to which some people will go in their quest for power and beauty. Whether she was a victim of a conspiracy or a true monster, her legacy as the Blood Countess endures to this day. Today, her castle is a popular tourist attraction, drawing visitors from around the world who are fascinated by her dark and twisted tale. The legend of Elizabeth Bathory continues to captivate and horrify, a testament to the enduring power of her story. So the next time you hear the name Elizabeth Bathory, remember the chilling tale of the Blood Countess, a woman whose quest for eternal youth led her down a path of unimaginable horror and cruelty. Okay gang, buckle up for this one. We're diving into the murky depths of Poveglia, an island off the coast of Italy. Sounds lovely, right? Wrong. This place is basically a floating petri dish of historical trauma. See, back in the good old days of bubonic plague, Poveglia was the dumping ground for the sick and dying. They shipped them off, quarantined them, and, well, you can guess the rest. The soil here? Yeah, it's basically marinating in centuries of plague victims. We're talking tens of thousands of bodies just piled up, left to decompose. Not exactly the kind of beach vacation you'd brag about on Instagram, right? And if that wasn't enough, Poveglia is reputed to be the most haunted place in Europe. Alright folks, let's talk about June and Jennifer Gibbons. These twin sisters from Wales were inseparable, literally. They shared a bond so deep, they refused to communicate with anyone else. Imagine being the only two people in the world who speak your language. Creepy, right? Growing up in the 1960s, June and Jennifer faced a lot of isolation. They were the only black children in their school, and their silence made them easy targets for bullies. But here's the thing. They weren't actually silent with each other. They developed their own language, a secret code that only they understood. They wrote stories, poems, even novels, all in this private world they created together. It's fascinating and tragic all at once. As they grew older, their behavior took a darker turn. They began committing petty thefts and even attempted arson. Their criminal activities eventually led to their arrest and subsequent incarceration. The twins were sent to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric facility. There, They underwent extensive psychological evaluations. The evaluations revealed their deep psychological bond and the complexities of their relationship. Their time in Broadmoor was marked by further isolation and a struggle to maintain their unique connection. The story of June and Jennifer Gibbons is a haunting reminder of the power of human connection and the dark paths it can sometimes lead us down. Alright, let's rewind to 1991, high up in the Italian Alps. Two hikers stumble across something sticking out of the ice. No, it's not a lost picnic basket, it's a freaking 5,300-year-old mummy. Talk about finding a cold case. They named him Ötzi, and he became an instant celebrity. Scientists were pumped, historians were giddy, and everyone wanted a piece of this ancient Iceman, but maybe they should have left him on ice. See, whispers of a curse started swirling around. It seems anyone who came into contact with Ötzi, especially those involved in his excavation, met untimely ends. Coincidence? Or something more supernatural? Let's just say I wouldn't want to be the guy who chipped the ice off his nose. Alright, picture this. It's 1855 England. It's the dead of winter, snow is piled high, classic English winter wonderland stuff. People wake up one morning and bam, weird tracks everywhere. And I'm not talking about your average footprints here, no way. These things were hoof-like, spread out over miles, appearing on rooftops, crossing walls, even going straight over the River Exe. I mean, come on, how does something walk on water, let alone snow, and leave hoofprints? It's like something out of a bad Christmas special, but instead of Santa, it's, well, who knows what. Naturally, the rumor mill went into overdrive. Some folks said it was the devil himself out for a frosty stroll. I mean, can you imagine the kind of PR nightmare that would be for Satan? Walking on your freshly shoveled driveway like that? Rude. Others thought maybe it was a kangaroo that escaped from the zoo. Okay, a little more plausible, but still, kangaroo on a roof? Not exactly known for their parkour skills. Whatever it was, it left its mark, literally, and then vanished into thin air, leaving everyone even more perplexed. Alright folks, buckle up, because this one's a doozy. It's the tale of Tarrare, an 18th century Frenchman with a very, shall we say, unique condition. This guy, he was always hungry. And I'm not talking about your average, I could go for a snack kind of hungry. This dude had an appetite that could put a competitive eater to shame. We're talking about a guy who could eat his own body weight in food. And not just any food, we're talking live animals, garbage, you name it, he ate it. I mean, I get hangry if I miss lunch, but this is next level stuff. Imagine the grocery bills. Doctors at the time, they were baffled. They poked and prodded, trying to figure out what made Tarrare tick, or rather, what made him tick-tock like a ravenous stomach clock. They noticed he had this abnormally wide mouth, and his skin was always hot and sweaty, even when he hadn't just polished off a bucket of live eels. But despite their best efforts, they couldn't quite crack the code of Tarrare's insatiable appetite. This guy was a medical mystery, a walking, talking, always eating enigma. Alright folks, this next one's not for the faint of heart. We're diving into the twisted mind of H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. This guy, he makes your average creepy neighbor look like Mr. Rogers. See Holmes, he wasn't content with just your run-of-the-mill murder, he took things to a whole other level of messed up. We're talking about a guy who built a hotel specifically designed for killing. I'm not talking about a missing do not disturb sign. I'm talking about hidden rooms, secret passages, trapdoors, gas chambers, the whole 9 yards. It was like something out of a horror movie, only this time it was all too real. Holmes, he was a con man, a swindler, a master manipulator. He'd lure unsuspecting victims, mostly young women, to his so-called World's Fair hotel with promises of cheap rooms and good times. But little did they know, they were checking into their own personal nightmares. Once inside, Holmes's reign of terror would begin. He'd trap his victims in soundproof rooms, torture them, kill them, and then dispose of their bodies in the most gruesome ways imaginable. Alright, buckle up Buttercup, because this one's a real downer. We're talking about the Donner Party, a group of pioneers who set out for California in 1846. It's like Oregon Trail, but with a serious lack of "you have died of dysentery" jokes. These folks were regular people, Families looking for a fresh start, you know. They packed up their wagons with dreams bigger than their oxen and headed west. Little did they know, their journey would become a horrifying example of just how desperate humans can get when hunger sets in. See, things went south faster than a wagon wheel rolling downhill. Bad weather, poor planning, you name it, they had it. Pretty soon they were stuck in the Sierra Nevada mountains as winter decided to make an unwelcome appearance. And when I say winter, I mean like Game of Thrones level winter. Supplies dwindled, hope started to freeze over like a puddle in December, and those rumbling stomachs, yeah, they weren't messing around. Out of the 87 members of the Donner Party, only 48 survived. Names like George Donner, James Reed, and Tamsin Donner became etched in history. George Donner, the leader, succumbed to an infection. James Reed, who was banished earlier, managed to survive and return with rescue parties. Tamsin Donner stayed behind with her dying husband, ultimately perishing herself. Miraculously, many children survived, including all of James Reed's children and the Donner children. Rescue parties made 4 attempts to save the stranded pioneers, each time finding more harrowing scenes of survival and tragedy. The survivors endured unimaginable hardships, resorting to cannibalism to stay alive. Today, the story of the Donner Party serves as a grim reminder of the perils faced by pioneers and the extreme lengths humans will go to survive. Alright, let's lighten the mood a bit, shall we? Just kidding, next up is the Island of the Dolls, and if this doesn't make your skin crawl, you're braver than me. Picture this, an island in Mexico completely covered in dolls. Not cute, pristine dolls, mind you. We're talking about weathered, decaying, nightmare-inducing dolls with missing eyes and limbs dangling at unnatural angles, like a toy store after a hurricane of nope. The story goes that a man named Don Julian started hanging these creepy dolls all over the island after finding a drowned girl in the canal. Some say he did it to appease her spirit, others say he went a bit, shall we say, bonkers. Either way, for over 50 years Don Julian lived on this island, surrounded by his creepy, lifeless companions. Can you imagine the conversations he had with those dolls? Or maybe the silence was even creepier. Alright, buckle up, because we're diving headfirst into the heart of Germany, a place not exactly known for its sunshine and rainbows, you know. We're talking about Herxheim, where back in 1996, archaeologists stumbled upon something straight out of a horror movie, mass graves. Yeah, not just a couple of skeletons, we're talking hundreds of bodies all piled together in shallow pits. Talk about a bad day to be an archaeologist, am I right? But hold on, it gets weirder. As if unearthing a mass grave wasn't creepy enough, many of these unfortunate souls were found stuffed inside lead coffins. Now, lead coffins weren't exactly common back in the day. They were expensive, reserved for the elite, the VIPs of the ancient world. So why were these seemingly ordinary folks given such a luxurious burial? It's a question that has baffled experts for years, and trust me, there's no shortage of theories floating around. Some say it was a desperate attempt to contain a deadly plague, kind of like a medieval hazmat suit, but for the dearly departed. Others believe it was all about preserving the bodies for some grand, mystical ritual in the afterlife. I mean, who wouldn't want to look their best for eternity, right? But with no concrete answers in sight, the lead coffins of Herxheim remain one of archaeology's most intriguing and unsettling mysteries. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they found a dusty old Ouija board down there too. You know, just to add to the whole spooky vibe. The enigma of Herxheim serves as a reminder of the complexities of human history. It challenges us to look beyond the surface and to consider the myriad factors that shape our understanding of the past. As we continue to unearth the secrets of Herxheim, we are reminded of the enduring mysteries that lie beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered and understood. The journey of discovery is far from over, and who knows what other secrets Herxheim holds. So, the next time you find yourself in the heart of Germany, take a moment to ponder the ancient mysteries that lie hidden beneath the soil. Who knows, you might just stumble upon the next great archaeological discovery. Until then, the enigma of Herxheim remains, a testament to the enduring allure of the past and the endless quest for knowledge. Okay folks, get ready for a wild ride because this next story is about as bizarre as it is tragic. We're talking about the Ordre du Temple Solaire, also known as the Order of the Solar Temple, a secret society that makes your average Dungeons & Dragons group look like a bunch of harmless LARPers. founded in 1984 by this guy, Joseph de Mombro, and Luc Jouret, a charismatic doctor who probably had a most likely to start a cult superlative in high school. This group was a melting pot of New Age beliefs, apocalyptic prophecies, and a healthy dose of good old-fashioned paranoia. They believed in all sorts of wild stuff, like reincarnation, the imminent end of the world, and the existence of a secret brotherhood guarding ancient wisdom, you know, the usual cult stuff. And like any good secret society worth its salt, they had their own set of rituals, hierarchies, and of course a healthy dose of secrecy. But the dawn of a dark sun cast a shadow over their fate. In October 1994, 53 members of the Order of the Solar Temple were found dead in Switzerland and Canada. The deaths were a combination of murder and suicide, orchestrated by the leaders who believed they were escaping the hypocrisies and oppression of this world. The event shocked the world, and remains one of the most chilling examples of cult extremism. The once vibrant land now stands as a grim reminder of the past, shrouded in darkness and mystery. The tragic ending serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the ever-present shadow of death. Well, there you have it, folks. Another dozen creepy tales to keep you up at night. Did you pick out your favorite yet? Was it the mysterious lead coffins, the blood-chilling story of the Solar Temple, or maybe something else entirely? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. And hey, while you're at it, why not hit that subscribe button and join the Unsolved community? We've got a whole crypt full of spooky stories just waiting to be unearthed. But for now, stay curious, stay safe, and whatever you do, don't go digging around any ancient burial grounds alone at night. You never know what you might find. Until next time.